Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator here on America's Next. I have Tamala Baldwin here with me today. How you doing, Tamala?
Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be here. Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, I'm so well on this beautiful day. Thank you for having me, for real. It feels so great to be in your space.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it seems like you've been so busy over the years, and it's a wonder that I don't already know your work and your movement. So I'm extremely excited to get to know that today, and happy for all of my viewers and supporters that we get to talk to someone who is a member of the future of movies and media. So congratulations to you on that too.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. I received that. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Absolutely. Hey, what's up to everybody who's tuning in right now? I'd like for you to get someone else in the building. You might know a person who's into film, media, creatives. Get other people into the building to join this conversation. And as always, we're going to take it straight from the top. Tamala, where are you from?
I am from Brooklyn.
Really?
Well, I'll tell the truth. I'm from Brooklyn, but I moved to Long Island when I was like in 7th or 8th grade. So
okay,
half.
Right. All right. What was it like for you growing up in Brooklyn?
There was a lot of opportunity. You know, I was able to go to art school. I had access to a lot of things living in, Brooklyn, especially in the 80s, where like culture was like just popping. But also I grew up, in the projects. So I saw a lot of, addiction growing up. But for some reason, somehow, I never really internalized that. I guess because my mom kept me busy, like in dance class and acting class, and just kept me so busy. I wasn't really affected by it, so to speak.
Right. Well,
so yeah,
let's break this down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You're living in Brooklyn in the 80s.
Yes.
Which is a golden era of culture in America.
Yes.
So when you talk about the substance of hip hop, the substance of early R&B, the substance of a great time. I mean, barbecues, block parties, people figuring out how to get money, big time money, going into the 90s. And so, this is the substance that you came from. It sounds like you took creative flavor out of that era. You took musical influences out of that area. Talk about some of your influences from that time. Who were your favorite groups? Who were you listening to?
Well, it wasn't quite the 80s, I guess. Criss Cross came out in the 90s.
Right.
When I was in the 80s, I guess I was listening to Whitney Houston. I had a big poster with Whitney Houston on my wall with her big happy hair. I loved Whitney Houston. So yeah, that's who I was listening to in the 80s. Yeah.
Okay. Now, as we know, people who were born in the 80s or grew up in the 80s, you really, really got your legs in the 90s.
Yes.
So let's talk about the 90s. Who were you listening to? Who did you love in the 90s?
Oh my gosh, there were so many great artists to fall in love with because everyone really did like have their own style, and diversity was like accepted. Everyone was so different. So I loved Criss Cross, I loved In Vogue, I loved TLC, I loved Salt and Pepper, like everyone.
Who did I like during those times? I liked you know what? I got a confession to make.
Okay.
There used to be this show or channel show, whatever. It was called The Box.
Yes.
And they used to play, music videos on TV. And as a young kid, I remember just loving Keith Sweat's music.
Yes.
I felt like Keith Sweat's music was just fire, I liked Keith Sweat. I liked the group called Next. They had some really good songs out back then. Jagged Edge.
Yes.
Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, drop your favorite groups in the chat. Criss Cross. I liked Criss Cross a lot. Who else? Who else was popping? You know who else was popping?
Who?
Coolio was popping.
Yes, he was. I remember
Coolio was popping.
I remember going to his house and meeting him when I was living in California, in the 2000s, and that was fun. So yeah, Coolio was dope.
Yeah, Coolio was dope. Who else was dope? I want to take this as a moment to remember and rekindle the ambiance of the 90s that brought us here. They deserve it. You know?
Do you know who I liked? You know, I remember watching Video Music Box with my brother, not so much because I wanted to watch it, but my brother liked to watch Video Music Box. And I saw Slick Rick's video, Young World, on there. And I just fell in love with him when I saw that video. Yeah. He's one of my favorite rappers, Slick Rick.
Mine too. I loved his storytelling ability.
Yeah.
And the great thing about Slick Rick is when you go back and listen to Slick Rick's catalog, he's just as talented, if not more talented than you thought he was. Like, he's just as good as he portrayed himself to be. He's a phenomenal storyteller.
Yes. He's great.
You know? Okay, let's talk movies. Who produced and what movies did you love in the 90s?
Oh my goodness. I guess like Ghost, Dirty Dancing, Teen Witch. And I guess like as I got older, you know, also like, you know, Spike Lee movie School Days. Oh my, one of my favorite movies of all time. And then as we get a little bit older, of course, loving basketball. I love sci-fi horror movies. So,
you know, loving basketball. I love that movie. It showed me Maxwell's catalog. I didn't know what he was saying in the movie, but the sounds were so beautiful. I'm like, I gotta know what song that was. And lo and behold, that album, the Now album, is still one of the best R&B albums I've ever heard. So loving basketball is absolutely classic.
That the song at the end, Fool of Me, put me on to Michelle. I won't say her last name. I still jack it up, but I then bought all of her music because of that one song. It was so good.
That song was so sad, but so good at the same time.
Perfect. It was
I'm like, yeah. That was a good song. You know, I want to get a little bit more juice out of the 90s right now. I love the movie Do the Right Thing.
Okay, yeah.
Do the Right Thing was a powerful movie. And Candyman.
Oh my goodness, how could I forget Candyman?
Candyman was crazy.
And
I still never said Candyman.
Oh, me neither. Please,
I'm not crazy. No. The Last Dragon. Yeah, he said he catches bullets with his teeth.
Yes. Oh my God.
Please. Yeah.
We could do a whole show just on quoting Last Dragon. So.
That's all right. That's a fact. Okay. So now, what was elementary school like for you?
Elementary school was interesting. At the time in Brooklyn, they started allowing kids to, you know, ship to different districts. So I went to a school in Bensonhurst, part of a gifted program. And I was the only Black girl at the school at the time. And so I personally don't care about that stuff, but you know, as adults, they make you aware of your Blackness. And that's when I began to grow, when I became aware that I'm different than somebody else because of the adults from that school. But it was good. I mean, I learned a lot.
Right. So it was a good school, but the environment told you that you were a little brown girl with curly hair.
Yes.
And do you think that there was any need for you to know that, and any need for you to be tuned in on colorism at such a young age?
No, and I actually experienced a few traumatic moments from the adults at that time in my life. And once MySpace came around, I actually found one of the adults and told her, hey, I was a kid and you really did, you know, hurt me. Like I was innocent. And even then, she still did not take accountability for her actions and for what she did to me as a little girl.
So now let's fast forward to middle school. Were you in middle school thinking about, you know, social circles and colorism at the same time?
No, at that point, I got transferred to performing arts school in the city. I went to professional performing school of the arts. And so everybody was about their art and it was fun and creative. We weren't sitting there thinking about, oh, you're Black and you're white. And we didn't have adults that were in that space either. They fostered our gifts and our talents. And it was all about making us, aware of who we are and what we can give to the world.
Okay. What was your relationship like with your parents during this time where you're opening up creatively and just getting into that creative mindset? What was your relationship like with your parents?
They like supported me 1,010%. Like the fact that I got into that school, the fact that I got into Juilliard, the fact that I took dance lessons and vocal lessons and piano lessons was all because of my parents. And especially my mother, who, like, I don't know how she did it, how she was able to drive me to like dance class after school, pick me up, I don't know how she did it. Now that I'm a grown up, I'm like, I'm tired. And I don't even have children and I'm tired, but she did so much for me.
Did you have siblings?
I did. And she did the same thing for them. Took my brother to karate. It took my sister to gymnastics.
Right. What would you say was a defining moment for you in that art school where you realized that you were going to pursue a future in film?
I don't think it was at that moment, actually.
Okay.
Being an artist was how I was born, so I guess I kind of took it for granted. The awareness to pursue it as an adult didn't happen until after college, when I experienced corporate America, and I was like, what are we doing?
Right.
We don't like this.
Right. Okay. I also want to take some of the mysticism out of School of the Arts. When I was growing up, there was a select few kids who would say, no, I don't go to a regular public school. I go to School for the Arts. And, it's something that I always heard as I got older. And I imagine that there are young kids out there today who have friends who are in a School of the Arts. What does it mean? What's the difference? What's so cool about it?
So you have like your regular curriculum, English, math, Spanish. But on top of that, you have your artistic or creative performance art curriculum as well. And so because of that, your days are a lot longer. Like when I went to high school, we were out of school at 1:45. When you go to performing arts school, you don't get out to like almost 5:00 because you have those additional classes built in. So in the morning, you may have like your Spanish and math, followed by, your vocal major. If you're a vocal major, you'll have like, private lesson, or you'll have choir rehearsal. And then you have a minor as well. And you do all of that, like pretty much every day.
So you were in school until about 5:00 doing what? Additional drama classes or additional coursework?
Yes.
Okay. Would you recommend School of the Arts for other students today?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, it kept you out of trouble for the most part, because by the time you got home, it was 6, then you had homework. So you didn't really have time to be idle. And I think that a lot of times kids get into stuff because they have all this free time. I did not have free time when I was a kid, So I was also going to dance class as well. On top of that, it was a lot. I was really busy.
Right. I wonder if School of the Arts understands something, which is that in those formative years of your life, you need a little bit extra program to really express yourself. And I wonder if having that little extra space in your program just gives you that much more wiggle room to kind of just grow, like to have that much more of a growth spurt. Because when you get into college, and obviously you're right there next to adulthood, it becomes more about just work, and it becomes more about who you are creatively. Are you funny? Are you humorous? Do you know how to socialize? And it sounds like you get a little bit more of that when you go to a School of the Arts.
Yes, and they also help you to express your talents. Like I remember, writing some really wild stuff when I was a young girl, but my teachers encouraged it. They didn't shame me for it. They were like, keep going, keep writing. And I think if I didn't have those moments, those little seeds, I wouldn't be writing today.
That's right. Would you like to speak to any of the parents who have a young writer in their home today? They have a young daughter or a young man in their house, and he or she is creative. What can those parents do or look out for today to conduce that talent?
If your child is a writer, read their stuff, get excited about it. But a lot of times writing is, you're in your head a lot, you're in your imagination a lot. And I remember my mom allowing me the space to just be in my head and to write. It wasn't like, oh, what are you doing? Like, stop, you're being antisocial. She allowed me to be me. And being me sometimes looked like just writing to myself and being quiet. So just allow your children to be themselves as opposed to trying to mold them sometimes into your mini you. Okay. Like our children come through you, but they're not yours, if that makes sense.
Right. What was it like for you in high school? What did you get involved in? How did you grow? What was going on?
So things kind of transitioned when I went to high school. I moved to the burbs at that point because I was like, oh, I want to have like a regular life. I want to just go to football games and, not be busy all the time. And so that's what high school was like. High school, I was still writing. I was still the girl with my scripts. Like, here, Can you read this?
Right. The manuscripts. Yeah. You know what? Take a moment and talk about those. You were walking around with notebooks of stuff that you'd written, and it sounds like you might have been that girl who's like, hey, we're friends now. I want you to read this and tell me what you think.
Yes. But I would also go to my English teachers and be like, hey, could you read this and give me feedback? Like, I'm the kind of person that is open to you getting feedback. So I would have them like, read it. And I had one English teacher, Mr. Solaski. He was so supportive and so encouraging. And he was like, Tamala, you have to go to NYU for screenwriting. Here's an application for their junior program. If you'll get into the junior program, and it's pretty much a shoo-in for like, undergrad. Right. And he just was so great.
So by expressing yourself and sharing your work with your teachers, other adults, pretty much whoever you could in your life, that extended into your next opportunities.
It's sort of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that there are young people out there who they write and they create things and they don't show them to the adults in their life. They definitely don't take them to the teacher and say, hey, can you edit this for me? Can you read this for me? But when you did it, your teacher said, you've got potential. Have you ever thought about NYU?
Yeah.
And it's those types of conversations that can usher a young student into a certain direction. And so I think that teacher support is great. And I commend the fact that you had the courage to share your art with teachers. And I want to encourage students out there today to do the same. If you are a student and you're a creative, you are a poet. We see Ambition Harper's in the building. He's a poet. If you are any type of a creative and you want more eyes and ears in editing, take it to your teachers. A teacher might say, hey, you ever thought about NYU? And that right there could change the trajectory of your life for sure.
And just to elaborate on that, he was my second teacher that I sent it to. The first teacher was like, oh, you can edit it yourself. I could have been like discouraged and been like, oh, what am I going to do? But I was like, okay, on to the next. If you're not down.
You're not down, on to the next.
Someone's going to help me.
That's right.
So I was used to hearing no's, I guess, because of auditioning. But even if someone says no, I'm not into it, somebody will. The right person will say yes and will pour into you.
Was any of your stuff from that time frame good?
Hell to the hell yeah.
Okay, I thought you were going to say no, but you said yeah. So what was your best piece during that time, and where is it at now? Where is that piece now?
It's like probably in a drawer somewhere.
Right.
But one of my first writing was about this teenage girl that goes to a boarding school, not really a boarding school, but it's kind of like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air almost. But she kind of like got into this really elite school and had to stay with a family in LA, even though she's from the hood. And it was kind of like her life of adjusting to like living, in like Beverly Hills and going to this really elite school, but also being the girl from Brooklyn who's trying to navigate, And I think that's also really relevant now, I would think. So
why is it relevant now?
Because, we're still trying to get access and opportunity to the same things that other people have as a Black woman, And so it's about giving somebody access and opportunity, and those that have it, how they're doing their part to give that to upcoming generations.
Let's talk about access for a minute. You make a great point there. Has access to high level competitive opportunities, has it been made more available today than let's say, 10, 15, 20 years ago? Is our access the same? Talk about it.
It depends. I do feel that, yes, we definitely do have more access now. And that's because of, I think, a lot of reasons, because of, policies being implemented from like the government, to also having access to certain technologies that make it more easier to actually for you to get in someone's face. Like you can tweet somebody and be like, hey, I want to be on your show, or hey, can I get an interview? So in that regards, we are definitely getting more access. And thanks to, the Black Lives Matter movement, we're also raising that conversation again about the importance of having access. So we're at least having conversations again, as opposed to pretending that everything's cool and everything's like kumbaya. So yeah, I think, there's been improvement.
Did you ultimately go to California at any time in your life?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Right. Yes.
Well, now is this after high school or right after? When did you actually go to California?
I went to California after quitting a job. So this is after grad school. I was working probably for a year or two. And then one of my clients was like, hey, we want you. We'll take you since you quit your job. And I was like, okay.
Right. All right. What was your Hollywood story? Let's talk about that. What's your Hollywood story?
So, up until 18, I was all on this particular straight path of being an artist. But then somewhere I was like, I'm not going to be good enough to make it as an artist. And so I have an MBA in business. I was like, I'll just hide and work behind the scenes and have something kind of like stable, and secure. And so I was working in advertising and new media, and I was working in entertainment. And so I remember at 24, 25, burning out. I was working 100 hours a week. I was depressed and just like, I think I was like, I want to smoke pot because I'm so stressed, and I don't smoke pot, but I was like, I'm going to smoke pot just because I'm so on edge. But then I was like, that's not me. And so I quit my job, and one of my clients, was like, hey, we'll hire you. And I got to California, and it was such a break that I needed. Everybody left work at 5:00. Nobody was like yelling at each other in the office.
Right. Now, was that simply because in California there's plenty of sunshine and things to do after 5:00, or was it an actual difference in the way that things were happening out there?
I think it was a cultural difference too, but also the company. Like I was living in San Diego at the time, and so people, surfed and they had it was definitely more balanced. It wasn't just about, it was about, of course, your business and the company being successful, but nobody was there until midnight every day. That just was not the culture at all. But it was there where God started talking to me through other people and being like, hey, you're hiding. You're supposed to be performing. You're supposed to be doing this. And when I didn't listen, everything was taken away from me in 7 days. The job, the car. I was like singing in a band, thinking, okay, I'll sing in a band, God, that'll be enough. That stopped all in 7 days. And even in that moment, I remember crying and being like, I get it, God, I get it. Fine. Have it your way. And that's what led me back to New York to performing again.
You know what? This is powerful. This is a moment where you relate to so many thousands of people out there. You decided that you weren't good enough for one reason or another. And because of that, you said, why don't I hide behind the camera, or why don't I get in the background and get busy that way? But your subconscious and your God spoke to you and said, no, don't hide. Don't hide. I gave you a talent. You knew that you had this talent ever since you were a young kid.
Yep.
Don't hide. If you hide your talent, your whole life will be a glimmer of what it can be. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to go out there and reclaim your life. And this is where everybody tunes in at. Think about your life. Think about the talent that you have. Are you hiding right now? Mm-hmm. Are you behind something else? And are you not listening to God? Are you not listening to your consciousness? Because if not, your life might be a glimmer of the actual star that is waiting to be unveiled to you, by you, for you, to benefit your legacy. We're talking to Tamala Baldwin today, and I'm loving this conversation. You guys sit tight. We'll be right back after this brief message. America's Next Motivator, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, Cedric Riley, and sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network. And we're back. Tamala, how you feeling out there?
I'm feeling so good. You almost had me on the verge of tears with that word you were just given. Preach, brother, preach.
You know, it's real life that we get out of each and every guest who comes on this stage. We could cut straight to the chase and talk about the amazing work that you're doing today, but you make the sacrifice of sharing your journey, and there's so much power in that. Talking about your actual journey, the realizations that you had along the way, you know, that's the part where people say, I can grow with her, you know, but on to the next.
Before we go on to the next, can I just chime in with what you said a moment ago about, hiding? Mm-hmm. Part of the reason why I hid was because I thought at the age of 25 or 26, I was too old. I was like, there's no time now for me to pursue my acting career, my singing career. I don't know where I picked this up. I think someone did tell me, oh, you're too old to be a singer now.
Wow.
And that's why I can do something else. And I began to shrink myself. And now that I'm older, it doesn't matter. Those are all illusions and lies that we tell ourselves, and it's not true. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's too late for me, that's a lie. Stop lying to yourself. There is always time for you to do what you were born to do here, now, in this lifetime.
There are 444,000 youth in the foster care system today. Many of them are going to be told something along the way similar to what you were told. Your chances aren't going to be the same. The odds are stacked against you. Why don't you go and do something different? What do you say to young men and women who are in foster care today, who are facing a potentially uphill battle toward their dreams?
I would say that you matter. You are not alone. You are here for a purpose. Everyone that is here on this earth is here for a purpose. And we're here to gift something that our soul wants to share. Our soul is here because it wants to share something that only you can give and you can share through your vessel, through your words, through your gifts, through your talents. And people that are telling you, oh, you can't do it, you don't matter. They're talking out of ignorance. They're talking out of their own fear, their own insecurity, their own place of, low self-worth. It has no reflection of who you are as a divine being living here now. So
let's go. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Tamala Baldwin. She is a grounded person and she's very talented. Now, she's a filmmaker today. Is that correct?
Yes.
How did you establish yourself as a filmmaker?
So, it's amazing. So I left corporate America and started doing musical theater. And I did that for 10 years and it was hard. I had funny money for 10 years.
Right. Funny money.
I would get up, at 4 a.m. to stand outside to audition and most days not audition. And then finally, a lot of pain happened between 2013 and 2016. My mom passed away and I broke up with the love of my life. And I was like, God, why am I here? What the hell am I doing here? This can't be why I was born. And I prayed for a year for purpose. I was like, I need new life. I need my spark back because I was just kind of walking aimlessly. And then I got this story. I got this story called Bubbly Brown Sugar from beginning to end. And God said, if you write it, all the doors you've been wanting will open.
So when you say you got a story, you're saying that you had an idea of a story and then you wrote it, you manifested it.
Yes. But sometimes stories can come from your mind and you kind of do it technically, whereas this was inspired. I'm an intuitive writer. So I saw the pictures from beginning to end of the story. And all I had to do was just kind of channel it through, so to speak.
That's incredible. Mm-hmm. I went out there and found a trailer of this video. If you are a supporter of America's Next Motivator, you know that I go out there and I find what people are up to. And so it might not be a surprise to you that I went out and found this video, but check it out. So we're going to watch the trailer to Bubbly Brown Sugar. It's on YouTube. And just check out this amazing talent, guys. Just give me 1 second here. I'm going to play it. Drop your comments in the chat. Give us feedback. Of course, we know she likes feedback. And let's check it out. Nice. She's got the 90s part.
The sun is shining. We are alive. And that means that it's time for some morning good. Last night, I dreamed of my soulmate. And it felt so real. You should have seen the things that we did.
In your head?
Yo, our rendezvous was so intense.
The monologue going, okay.
We haven't even met yet.
Girl, the man doesn't even exist.
I can still feel him all over me. I can't help but wonder what he's doing.
Y'all drop a 1 in the chat if y'all can feel this monologue. If y'all feeling this, drop a 1 in the chat.
That nigga ain't tired. His back hurt because it's been a minute.
Your back hurt?
Supposed to pop her back out, not throw yours out.
Who ends a perfect relationship for a man in their dreams?
Someone sort of crazy.
Tell me again slowly. I left the perfect man because
Drop 1s in the chat.
God told me to. No.
Oh my
God.
God. I know it's time to go. We gotta go.
I haven't been sleeping. You should having nightmares or something.
No, not at all.
I used to have these crazy ass night terrors. Right? Man, I pissed the bed till I was 13, 14 years old.
Hey, ain't nobody trying to heal like
See? You falling in love too. Drop 1s in the chat, everybody.
Gabe, what are you doing there?
I wanted to be here for you.
I invite you to speak what you want until you see what you have said.
Jewel and her homies from Bubbly Brown Sugar.
I just wish my baby sister was putting her talents to better use rather than making a fool of herself on the internet.
Let's go, brothers. Y'all know how we do.
Okay, wait.
Woman, what in the world are you wearing?
Surprise.
He said, "What's going on with you?"
He's like, "Hello."
Right.
Until next time, over and out.
Nice. Also, let's take a look at her. Okay. Drop your website in the comments. I was gonna go to your website, but I actually want to talk about that clip because it was a very magnetic clip there. So let's talk about relationships.
Okay.
What do you seek to achieve with that film?
So this story is about twin flames, and a lot of people don't know what twin flames are, but there's more people talking about twin flames now. But at the time, you know, when I learned I was a twin flame, nobody was talking about it, especially on the internet. And twin flames are basically the other half of your soul. And wow. I know it may sound pretty like mystical and like, you know, if you're really, and a lot of masculines, you know, might be like, that's a bunch of nonsense. But it's true. It's a divinely guided relationship. And so I wanted to bring awareness to the concept of twin flames as a way to heal my own self and to understand what was happening to me. And also just to like identify with that, you know, audience, people that really want to meet their other half of their soul. Like we've heard that expression before, like, oh, my other half. But that really exists.
Okay, let's talk about that though. You know, I think we've got people out there who may have never heard of the concept of twin flame before. Funny thing is, I've heard the term, but I didn't know that's what it meant. You know,
yes.
I think I heard, you know, in different rap lyrics and stuff like that, but I never knew it meant, you know, having a significant other that way. So let's talk about that. Is that something that you can learn how to do, how to identify a twin flame? Like what's up with it?
So twin flames isn't something that you can, I think, cultivate. Either that person is your twin flame or they're not. And what it is that, you know, with energy, there's masculine energy and then there's feminine energy, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking about, you know, like consciousness, this feminine energy, masculine energy, and our soul sometimes, you know, can split into various things. Our soul is like ginormous. And sometimes it like puts itself in a little body here and sometimes in the other body here. And just once in a while, those two frequencies meet in the same lifetime. And that's what your twin flame is. It's more masculine energy and then the feminine energy.
Yeah, hashtag ginormous. Your soul is ginormous. Let's make this even more of a victorious moment for ladies out there and for men out there who want to find their twin flames. Is all hope lost if you're 30 or 40 years old and you haven't found it yet?
No, but I will say that twin flames is not like a fairy tale romance. Your twin flame is your mirror. And so in Bubbly Brown Sugar, these characters have to heal themselves in order to earn the right to be together.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So if one person is, you know, clinging to unforgiveness or clinging to, you know, codependency, it's not going to work. So they have to transmute those lower energies in order to be together. Mm-hmm. So they're dreaming of each other because the divine wants them to be together, but it won't work if you're unhealed. And so that's what my show is about the power of healing yourself so that you can then see all that you want, all the abundance mirrored back to you in the physical world.
This is how you know the difference between a great filmmaker and someone who is just putting together movies. There's always a narrative behind the scenes. The scenes are trying to communicate with you something deeper. And so for people who might look at scenes like those and say, oh, it's just another social flick about a bunch of relationships, that couldn't be further from the truth, because what you're saying is that, you know, you could have a twin flame relationship if you do the work of healing yourself.
Yes.
You know, and there is the big treasure in it all. I think we've got work to do in our communities when it comes to healing ourselves. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on women healing themselves?
I think that women naturally, I think, kind of fall into in that space because we naturally are, nurturers, and we naturally. But sometimes you do want to give to others. So I think that we have to definitely turn within ourselves in order to receive what we want. Sometimes, like even me, like I've been that crazy girlfriend that's like, why are you doing this? And why are you doing that? If you love me, you would be doing this, and you're not doing this, so you must not love me. But if I maintain that balance and power within myself and know that I am a freaking goddess and a child of God, I won't have to fall into those frequencies. So I definitely think that women should, when they see themselves getting out of pocket like that, should check their own vibration as opposed to like picking at y'all, like, and vice versa.
Okay. The other thing that I noticed there is when a woman says, listen, I understand that I need to heal myself, but I'm not getting ready to go around being everybody's healer. What if I get tired of doing all the healing as well? Who or what's going to heal me? And I noticed in your movie there, looks like there was a healthy crew. So my thoughts, is part of healing yourself, having, that friend group where you can have conversations, maybe have social nights and sort of kind of bounce off of one another in order to bring about a group healing, if you will.
I love that. And I agree with you, but spiritual work to me is a very independent and kind of lonesome journey. I mean, it's great to have community, but like you could talk to your girlfriends all the time about what's happening, but they're not going to be able to shift that energy until you sit with yourself and do it. But I am having, like for instance, like I've been needing that community, especially a twin flame community, because it's a very like crazy journey. And so I'm meeting with some women tonight. We're going to meditate together and do affirmations together. So I think that is important to have that crew. But if I'm doing affirmations and I don't believe it, it doesn't matter. So it definitely is an inner process that you have to commit to. And it's a lot of work and there's no easy fixes to it.
If you are fortunate enough to have that group camaraderie, make sure that you take it seriously and that you do the personal work that has to be done for you to get the value out of it. So like if you did have a crew and you were doing a group meditation, it's important for you maybe to start waking up and doing meditations for yourself in the morning.
Yep.
Now, would you ever consider, or are you already putting rituals in your films, stuff like group meditation that people can say, oh, that was a great movie, and I picked up this new thing called meditation?
Yes. So in season 1, I wasn't sure how far I could go with it. So I kind of wanted to see how people responded. So I had a little bit of like, she has a vision board that she uses, but she also sages and she also has the Bible. And I'm surprised no one's been like, but how is she saging and having the Bible? Because sometimes people look at that stuff and they're like, oh, that's witchcraft or whatever. And it's not. So in the next season, I definitely do want to go deeper with it, because I believe that the universe, God, divine, will use different religions, whatever it can, to communicate and reach you wherever you're at. And so I want to introduce that as well. Meditation, just different kinds of ways that God can reach us and help us heal ourselves.
You chose the medium of film to communicate these different gems to the community, and I think that that's excellent. People, they want things that are dynamic, they want things that are attractive, and it's not always simple. It's not always effective to ask somebody to read a book, read an article. They don't always want to see black and white, but when you put it in something like a film, all of a sudden it's so much more digestible.
Yes.
They might like that scene where you're using the sage and they can see that it's not witchcraft because they see how it impacted, the group dynamic when this person does it. Now they're going to do it. An example of something like that for me is not only Spike Lee's films. Now I'll talk about Spike Lee's films because I've watched his whole collection, including Judas and the Messiah. I just watched that last week. Spike Lee had something to do with that. There are certain things I think about in my life. The need to wake up, the need to be conscious, the need to, embrace your communities. Ask someone in your community, hey, how come there's no pictures of any brothers up on the wall? His art impacted me in those types of ways. And when you decide to do that in your art, the world becomes a better place. One more example, and then we'll move on. Jay-Z. when I listen to Jay-Z's albums, he always mentions something I've never heard of before that I then go and research and I learn something new.
Awesome.
You know,
It's
so
powerful.
dropping those gems in your films are huge. Rituals and films are huge, and that's what's going to make you a member of everybody's future.
I believe that art can not only reflect life, it can shape it. And a lot of my films are meant to shape what we really want. We want, like especially as a Black writer and Black female, I want my fairy tale. I want our happily ever after. And we don't see that all the time, like hardly ever. And so I think I definitely want to help plant those seeds and those messages through film and through art, as opposed to helping people immerse what they don't want. You know, if that makes sense. You know, we watch things for entertainment value, but they just keep us, you know, kind of like stuck, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. So you plan on pushing the frontier with your films, and young ladies and grown women can watch your movies and grow and get closer and closer to their goddesshood, if you will.
Yes, and men too. And in my film, like with Caleb, the guy that's my twin flame, he is so in his head. He's like a scientist, you know, very, very logical. And my goal is to help men drop further into their hearts, to marry their heart and their mind. So you'll see that as well for sure. What
do you say to men who think that that's soft, or you know that's for the ladies to get into your heart and you know pause?
I think that's also an illusion that we've been told, a lie that society has fed us to keep us conditioned and to keep us trapped and to keep us in the cycle of, you know, unhealthy relationships. We all, both women and men, need to be balanced, and men need to get out of their heads and learn to trust their feelings and trust their heart. It'll really lead to their ultimate happiness.
Okay, huge. A lot of people talking about emotional intelligence these days, but Tamala, you just broke it down in a way that is easy for everybody to understand. Now, where can people find your movies if they want to watch one of your movies tonight? It's Friday. You know, let's watch one of your movies tonight.
Yes.
Where can people find your films?
You can find Bubbly Brown Sugar streaming now on Urban Flix TV. You can sign up for just $3.99 and get, like, you know, and you can, they're a Black-owned network also, by the way. So you're supporting a Black-owned business and Black-owned and Black female.
What's the name?
Content creators. Urban Flix TV.
Urban Flix TV.
Like FLIX, like Netflix, Urban Flix TV.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard of Urban Flix TV before? I've never heard of it before. But we just found a new space where all types of cool creators, just like Tamala, are dropping movies. Urban Flix TV, correct?
Yes. Yep.
All right. So that's your home team, Urban Flix TV.
Yes. And I have another film coming out called Our Love that is about to hit the film festival circuit. So you can follow my website, tamalabaldwinfilms.com, to learn about an upcoming screening, or you can just friend me.
Okay. Now, what is the festival? What's that mean, and how does that work?
So we live in a world where people care what other people think. So a lot of times you submit to film festivals to get, you know, those nominations and those awards, and it pretty much validates that you have a good product. So then when you go to get distribution or licensing, you can just tag that on, like, oh, I won here, I won there. And oftentimes you may use a film festival circuit to get distribution, to get exposure, to get your eyes on people that work in that space, or even to get it, you know, at other networks and so forth.
Who are some people that you'd like to work with who are in the industry now?
Issa Rae.
Okay. She's rooting for everybody Black.
Yeah. Issa Rae, Shonda Rhimes, the director, Gina, that directed Love and Basketball. I just love her work. I'd love to have her direct one of my movies. So yeah.
Okay. Are you looking to challenge yourself with, like, for instance, you mentioned that you like sci-fi works. Have you ever thought about producing a sci-fi work?
Yes, I actually wrote a series called Tribe. It's about spirit guides, and it's kind of fantasy and all that stuff. So Absolutely. I think my next challenge would be writing a horror movie because I love zombie movies. So
what's up with the zombies? You know, people love zombies. They love that brand of scary movies. There's a huge market for it.
yes.
A huge market for it. Okay. How do you get inspiration though? I know when you had that epiphany that you talked about earlier, it kind of just came to you. It just kind of flowed through. But what's your process for literally intentionally writing a movie? What's your process?
Well, I kind of listen to music. That's my process. I listen to music and I dance and I kind of get out of my head and allow my energy to flow. And then I set the intention like, oh, we're going to write today. We're going to write a story today. Oh, I want to write a movie. Like, come on, spirit, let's get it going. And I get out of my head and then I just sit and I write. I sometimes like to write the ideas down. I jot ideas down first before I go to a computer. And I may just like tinkle with an idea, like, once upon a time, what happened? But usually it happens like when I'm just like listening to music and I'm thinking about something in my head, I'll get an idea. But then once I have the idea and I'm like, I'm going to write, I write. Like I follow through on my stories. Like I don't have like multiple unfinished scripts. That's not my thing.
Do you ever channel your relatives when you write?
Not when I write. Not when I write. I channel mostly my higher self, my soul.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you do that?
He, she, they just, comes to me when I ask, I'm like, please help me embody more of my, mind, body, and spirit. And let's do this together. I feel like all the great things that have happened in my life were not of my own accord. It's because of whatever is higher that lives within me that has channeled through. So I intentionally ask, please help me. I need your help.
That's right. It sounds funny, or maybe even cliche, depending on who you are. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the key. This is the secret. This is the way to really give yourself to the world. Is that you've got to channel into your soul. You've got to learn how to exercise the muscle of accessing your higher consciousness. That's a muscle. And society's not always going to tell you to work that muscle out. But what Tamala is telling you today is that whatever is inside, you can access it. You just got to work at it. You got to say, this is in me. I need to listen. I need to talk to myself. I need to beckon myself, summon myself, and follow through with what myself gives me. So take that. Go ahead.
I like to say, sometimes I say I want to call forth all of my power, all of my soul, fill me up to its capacity. Our souls are infinite, right? But our bodies are finite. So we only get a small, portion of ourselves. So I'm like, please, like, whatever it takes, whatever is not like the truth, whatever illusion, get it out and replace it with your light so that I can do what I'm here to do with excellence. And I think that we're not here for ourselves. We're here for the sake of others, humanity, for God. And so we have to tune into that part of ourselves that is most connected to source.
That's right. What is the legacy that you want to live, that you want to leave?
I want people to know that heaven on earth is possible, and it starts from within. I've experienced profound bliss, euphoria, God, here and now. I don't have to wait until I'm dead to experience it. And I feel that we're all here now to help make that the way of being. Like all of this matrix, this hologram, it's what it is. It's not the truth. And so I want people to release their fear, release, deception of the lies that we've been conditioned to believe, and just really, really fall in love with themselves so that we can have heaven on earth.
We are down to the final 45 seconds of the show. And I want to ask you just one more question. You were just talking about the legacy that you want to leave. And there's some young lady out there who's listening to you and they're wondering what you mean when you say that I could have heaven on earth right now. And they want to know, what can I do today in my life to kind of bring that about? So can you talk about something like maybe your diet? How do you eat? What do you listen to in your spare time so that they can be like, oh, I can do this starting tomorrow?
So when I wake up, I pray and I talk to my highest self and I say thank you. If there's anything that you can do that I advise, is to say thank you. Sometimes we get so caught up in, how much farther we have to go and what we don't have and who hurt us and what happened to us, that sometimes all it takes is to say thank you and really mean it and really feel it. So I say thank you all the time. And I mean it. And that to me, I think is enough to get started with connecting and tapping into your higher self. I kind of, right now I'm a vegan, but I don't think that is something you have to do. But I do not listen to negativity. I don't watch the news. I don't listen to music that'll make me feel some kind of way. It's all about creating an environment where it's high energy.
That's right. 15 seconds left.
Okay.
What is survival to you?
Survival is learning to transmute all of the low energy, like whatever's happened to you, turning it into good. Everything that happens for us is for our good. So when you see that whatever pain or struggle or heartbreak has been for your good, to expand you, to grow you, to teach you, that is survival.
What is success to you?
Success is being who you're born to be, being unconditional love, being a person that is always in alignment and always grounded and centered and never allows anything outside of them to pull them from the right to the left.
What is greatness to you?
Greatness is doing what you love unapologetically.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat quickly. Put your crown emojis into the chat quickly. We are letting you know, Tamala, that we've listened to your story. I've definitely gleaned inspiration and wisdom from it, and we're giving you your respect today. We're also giving you your crown today. Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. We are letting you know, letting the world know that you, Tamala Baldwin, you are America's next motivator.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Thank you so much. This was powerful, and I'm so grateful and humbled to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for stopping by today, all right?
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Each and every episode of Yolanda, we see your crowns out there, of America's Next Motivator is going to have something here for you. All you've got to do is stop by and pick it up.